changes, and after you watch the tape, Liam, about how you think the offense played on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought you walked off the field and it wasn't like we got our butts handed to us. That wasn't the feeling that I felt. I felt like a little deflated feeling from the day where I felt like we moved it, we just didn't capitalize on drives. The first drive of the whole scrimmage, we go down, bang, 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 in 4 plays, and then get down in the low red area, and they stuck it to us a little bit. And we didn't finish that drive in the end zone. Obviously we're not kicking field goals, but you take 3 there and you move on. And it just felt like it was 2 steps forward, a little bit, 1 step back. We'd have a couple big good plays, and then we'd go -3. So there was just too many opportunities that we go back and look at the film, and you're like, oh man, we had this, you had that. And there's too many times right now that all 11, all right, aren't truly all doing exactly what they're supposed to do. It's 8 or 9 guys, and then those 2 or 3 that might make a mistake. Well, that's really important. And there were some bad calls too. There's some of those things. It's not all on them. It's on me too, in terms of putting them in a great position on some 3rd downs. And but it was good to see us move the football. It was deflating to see us not finish.
The 2 practices we've seen, it felt like Kaya took most of the 2 reps. Just where you at in that backup quarterback?
We're working on getting some of those other guys some reps as well. Kaya obviously, I know he can execute, the offense in a lot of ways, and now it's just trying to see, all right, Destin, Deuce, and seeing those guys a little bit more in those, competitive situations with the second group to be able to get those guys some more meaningful reps. I thought Destin did a really nice job at the end of the scrimmage. He gave us life in terms of some of the throws that he made, the decisions he made. He made them fast and gave us that last drive that led us to a touchdown. And what I said to these guys was, well, who knows what that scrimmage or game is like? That could have been a 10-3 ball game that we're down. And we go down and score right there to go 10-10 to give us a chance to go to overtime or a 2-point play. It's just about how they finished. And I really was happy with the way Destin did that. I think he strung together a few good days. So just trying to continue to evaluate it, but no real update.
Obviously, you hope Devin's healthy for every game, but that doesn't always happen that
Totally.
early. So how important is it finding
Huge.
another quarterback?
It's huge. For one of those guys to step up, obviously I have familiarity with Kaya. He kind of knows some of these things that we're doing offensively. But now it's about, hey, putting you in those positions, in those situations, how do you react in a live game situation? So it's extremely important. The backup quarterback, different than a lot of positions, you need one. You need one to show up, to the players trust, the coaches trust, and then you can go in and there's not as big of a drop-off as some might think.
What have you seen out of Kaya from 2 years ago to his limited playing time last year and now last year?
I've seen a kid that is a little bit more. I was always kind of on Kaya about demeanor, and sometimes he's just a little bit like that, and that's okay. It's all right. It's just I want him to have a little bit more gumption in a way in terms of, hey, show these guys that you can be the man, with your demeanor. Sometimes perception's reality, and you need to give that off. Whatever you're putting off to the guys and to the team and to everybody is what a lot of people are going to believe. So it's just that confidence and trying to continue to develop him as a leader, to pull people together so guys will really want to play for him.
Jeremy talked to us on Saturday about the run game and not really playing to their standard at this point. You're a few weeks in. What's just the kind of message to the offensive line? I know you probably don't want to get them buried right now because it's early, but just what's the overall message?
Really, it wasn't a lot of O-line issues on Saturday, although everybody might think it is because when you see a run get tackled, you think it's the O-line. Well, we had about 3 or 4, run pass options that we made the wrong decision on at quarterback, where we either handed it when we should have thrown it or threw it where there was some gashes. And so I actually, when you really go back and watch the film, it wasn't all on the line in terms of some of the negatives and things that occurred. Were some of them? Absolutely. But it was less than you really think when you're just watching it live. You're like, oh man, that's a -2, O-line. And some of them we were running into a bad box because the quarterback made the wrong decision. So that's a learning experience. We can go back and watch the tape. But I didn't feel like we just got physically manhandled up front. I didn't feel that way at all, and I'd be the first one to say if we did. But it was, you got to the second group, you got Kobe Keenum playing center, and with the second group, he should be in bio class right now. You know, and he's making all the calls, he's making all these things, and it's like, it got big for some guys on Saturday. You know, Kamari Anderson's one of my favorite young guys. It got big. And how do we learn from that moment? Saturday to me was less about truly execution in a lot of ways, and it felt frantic. It felt like a lot of guys were real bright-eyed in a situation. Why? Just because you all were there and there were some fans? That's what we're trying to learn from and say, hey guys, the moment. How do we handle the moment? Because it's going to get a lot bigger than this.
These last two opportunities that we've seen as far as open practice, we've seen D-Deck get a lot of snaps as a running back.
Yeah.
Of course, on pro, he's listed as a little wide out.
Right.
But you gonna play him more.
Yeah, he's playing running back right now, and D's just learning. You know, he's learning. He's a big, strong guy. I was interested to see him in a live situation too, just because he's such a big dude. Do they really like tackling him and all that kind of stuff? But right now, D's just trying to work on doing all the little things, right? But how are you doing academically, socially, in the meeting room, carrying it over to football, being consistent as a player, especially when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. But I thought did some decent things on Saturday in terms of running the football.
How happy are you with the running back depth overall so far?
You know, I really like Ray. You know, I like Ray. He's consistent, dependable, good, solid runner. Missed a few on Saturday, which, you know, he'll learn from those. I've always trusted Jatan as a guy that can come in and be steady and be on it and good in the pass pro game. And then Lavelle is just kind of hasn't stayed healthy yet. You know, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's practiced and then he's out for, 5-6 days. So it's been hard to truly evaluate that room without consistent participation every day. But they're coming along.
Kamari did just talk about
Yeah.
how he was a little wide-eyed on Saturday, but he has to be benefiting from a room that is a little thin right now.
Yes,
right?
I mean, those three guys that aren't playing right now, that's a lot of snaps. And, those are weapons, right? We're missing 3 weapons. And then Barryon didn't play, neither did Horsey, so some of those things come into play, but it's not an excuse, it's just the reality of the moment. Who's gonna step up? How do you respond? And it is a great learning experience for Kamari. I mean, like I said, he should be in high school right now still, and he's playing against some really good football players out there and having to hold his own, which he's shown to be able to do. Now it's how do you learn from that experience and get better from it.
Liam, go on.
When you were introduced 4 months ago, you talked about being able to get back into the relationship part of coaching
Totally.
off the field.
Yes.
4 months in, how's that going?
It's great. I mean, these guys are up here all the time. The kids, they're in the meeting rooms, they're in the film room, they come in, we'll probably have about 6-7 guys that'll come up here with all the wideouts and quarterbacks and tight ends, and they're hanging out around the offices. Typically, that's a good sign. Like if the kids want to be here and they want to be up in the offices hanging out with coaches, I mean, they got a lot of other people to hang out with. And they choose to be up there and hang out up in the offices and be around the coaches and the players, and that's a good sign. It's a good sign that we're building it the right way. And, even for me, is earning their trust back. I left them. So it's on me in a lot of ways to earn their trust and build that relationship back up. Not that they're all holding it over my head, but that's the way I feel. I feel it's my job to really get back in with them so they know that I'm not going anywhere and I believe in them and we'll do whatever it takes to get this thing right.
Are you feeling that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel good about the way that these kids are responding. Is it still at times like this? Yeah, absolutely. But that's our jobs. It's our jobs as coaches. It's in spring practice. We're not playing a game for a long time. And so that's what this is all about. If you really think about, I keep trying to tell myself and these kids is, look, we're in this moment right now. All right, then we have the summer, which we get a lot of time together. Then we've got training camp. So to redo these installs now 2 more times after spring practice, hopefully then once we get to game week, a lot of this stuff is mindless to where we can just go.
When you have an offensive line that had the year they had last year,
It's a great point. That was the message on Monday was, guys, if you watch the tape and if you don't come away from that saying we're close, then I don't know what's going on. it wasn't like we were just going negative, backwards, can't handle anything, we stink. That wasn't the vibe. That's not how I felt, and I will tell them that. It was more, guys, if you watch this thing, 8 or 9 guys doing the right thing, 2 or 3 off, and we're not good enough to make those mistakes. We're not good enough to have those issues. But once we get everybody going 11 on 11, or 11, all 11 doing the right thing and being on the same page, there's proof that it can work.
You
Last
mentioned the
two.
guys hanging out in the building
Yeah.
and everything. It seems like when you're done with spring practice, this is the type of group that is going to carry this on.
I
You
think
feel
so.
that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think led by Devin in a lot of ways, you know, in terms of he's got these guys up there watching film until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And that's what you want. You know, that you want that from your quarterback, and you want that from those guys. You know, you want them to be together as much as possible, because their connection and chemistry off the field will carry on to the field. So I do feel good about once we go and we go on the road recruiting. I know that these guys will be on the screws in terms of being up here and doing what they're asked to do and doing a little bit more.
John, okay, last two got
Yeah.
Ryan. John, did you need one? Okay, Ryan and John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Liam, I was going to ask, what position group maybe has impressed you most this growth this spring?
Probably this, honestly, Jagger Burton, the center, you know, for him. Him and Eli to be able to go back to some of those different positions, that's been intriguing, that's been exciting, because you can see the growth. You know, when you truly put somebody in a position they've never played before and you continue to see them get better at it, that's exciting. That's fun to see, to be able to watch that growth. I've been really pleased with the left tackle, with Marcus Cox in a lot of ways. So, and Horsey was playing really well up until he got banged last week. So, you know, that was disappointing to not be at full strength for a scrimmage, to really kind of see where we're at and give ourselves a benchmark. So, even though it's a work in progress, I have been pleased with some of the strides we've taken up front.
Liam, given about the center, I don't know that we talked about Luke Horner enough in
Yeah, I
21 based on what he did in the NFL. How important is it to get that spot right, whether it ends up being Eli or Jagger?
Huge. They make all the calls. The tradition of that position here, you know, you go to Drake and Luke, and now who's going to carry that torch and take it over? It's a lot. You know, the center makes all of our calls, both run game, protections, everything. And they need to be the leader of that group. So it is. I mean, what Luke did in 21, I mean, obviously carried right over into his season in Jacksonville. And a lot of people were looking at us like we were crazy when we moved Luke to center, you know? So it's just about, hey, can the kid handle it mentally, which Luke could and which Jagger can? And it's just taking the next step in terms of every single snap in and snap out accountability to all 11, because they make all the calls and get everybody on the same page, which can be difficult at times.
Okay, folks.